We just learned this hour about the Valley Workforce Study that points to high child care costs as a barrier to going to work. Research out this year from Child Care Aware of America finds the cost of infant care is averaging about $12,000 a year. Whether you're paying for a daycare, a babysitter, a nanny, it is taking a major chunk out of a family's budget, leading some parents, most often us moms, to stay home. Rise Together Innovation Institute CEO Danielle Sydnor is joining us now to dive deeper into this childcare dilemma we're facing. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, Danielle, the math doesn't add up when you look at what happens for most families and their income levels. What's the average cost in Ohio look like for families with kids in daycare or at home care right now?
The average costs are really in line with what you just described. And if we're thinking specifically like in the Mahoning County area, about $10,000 a year is what most families are paying for especially infant child care, which can be some of the most expensive. And for many people, that's as much as or more than their monthly rent for a family.
Oh, yeah. And your findings show 6 states, including Ohio, allocate no child care funds beyond what's required at the federal matches level and the maintenance of effort requirements. Why is child care and preschool investments in children not even across all of the states? What are you finding?
I mean, the reason that we don't have it across all of the states is because there is not a federal mandate to ensure that this happens. And so state by state legislatures make their own decisions based on what they think is best for their communities. Unfortunately, when we look at the cost of childcare and the reality that most families, even if there are 2 people in the household, both need to be working in order to make ends meet. Childcare is not just a matter of an issue to make sure families can have the things that they need. It's also a huge workforce issue. So many times, especially moms that end up being the dominant caregivers, have to spend a lot of time outside of the workforce and aren't able to contribute to society in the way that they want to, simply because they end up working just to cover the cost of childcare.
And what is driving up the cost of childcare right now?
One of the things that we know is driving up the cost of childcare is a shortage of qualified workers. It's also very challenging when you're trying to provide people with a living wage in the industry to be able to provide that. To be able to provide that quality child care in a way that is affordable, because there are not other subsidies or other incentives in place, unlike things like public education, where school districts bring in tax revenue to be able to offset the cost. Child care for most families is a private expense that does not have some sort of subsidy or some sort of tool attached to it.
Now, the 2025 study that you released, it points to some possible solutions like restructuring or better coordinating child care and preschool programs in each state. Ohio has the new Child Care Choice Voucher program that started in April of last year. How much is that program making a dent in the setbacks that we're seeing for child care costs?
We know it's making a huge improvement, and it's one of the reasons that Rise Together has been advocating for the expansion of that kind of support to more communities and more families. Because again, we just know and believe that if we provide individuals and families with access to childcare, they're able to go back to work or they're able to stay at work, and it really just helps all of us as a community. And so we think this is a public benefit and a public good that everybody should chip in to help support.
Yeah, I think a lot of parents watching, they're like, well, but if I don't qualify for the state's income requirements for that program, where's the help for me? So do you think that there are other recommendations in your research that the state of Ohio and other states really need to attempt or at least look at implementing?
Yeah, you have a variety of tools that communities are using all across the country. You have some that are using tax revenue, and you have some that are using social impact bonds. You have some that are being able to combine resources from philanthropic communities who really care about this issue, and private employers as well, because it may sound like it's redundant, but literally what we know right now, our families are telling us they cannot afford to go back to work because of the cost of childcare. And so when you see those types of that data coming out, it's caused more people to come to the table to try and figure out how we come up with solutions for this issue.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at the report that you released, it's on your website, and we'll have a link to it with this whole interview on our website. It's very easy to find out when you start doing the math and adding it up. It is so expensive, and it's not a surprise so many people are facing this issue. I really appreciate you joining us right here at 5 to go over your research.
Thank you so much for having us again. We appreciate it.